You can play almost every note available to us on the guitar from a single position. Yes, you can find a note in different positions along the fretboard, but you can really get a whole lot done just playing from one position. And that's great news for us fingerpickers because we have to play bass, chords, and melody all at the same time. And that's a lot easier to do when you can stay in one spot and find notes right under your fingers rather than flying up and down the fretboard just to play the right notes. And let's face it, we've already got enough going on with our picking hand. So all this means that you can play great fingerstyle blues while planted in common chord shapes that you probably already know. And we're going to put that to the test with a Piedmont blues style example. Think Etta Baker. Let's take a listen. We'll dig into the meat and potatoes of the example in this video, but premium members will have access to the detailed tutorial, an interactive tab player, and downloadable tabs. If you're not already a member, you can join pickers just like you looking to play better blues at the link in the description. But now, let's get on with the lesson. Really, most of what you need to know in order to play the entire arrangement is packed right here in the first couple of measures. When we take a look at what's going on, we've got an alternating bass played between the 6th string and the 4th string. We're going to use this 6-4-6-4 alternating bass line anywhere we're playing over the E chord, like we are in these first couple of measures, okay? So get your thumb going to a count 1, 2, 3, 4 and play that over the E chord on the fretboard. So you're just playing a couple of E's here, one on the 6th string and one on the 4th. But the cool parts are what we use to decorate this alternating bass line and how the notes kind of weave in between. But actually, we start with a pinch on B1 with a hammer on. So that pinch is the 6th string open. That's the bass line, just rolling along like we talked about, and the open 3rd string. But we're going to hammer up to the G sharp, so that's the 1st fret on the 3rd string, and we're going to make sure that hammer falls on the and of 1. And even that right there is so cool. I'm grinning on this because it's just a great move where we pinch, land in between, and then the bass keeps going. And this is how we're kind of weaving some notes in between the bass line, because on the and of 2, we're going to pick the open 1st string for the E. Then we've got bass and open 2nd string, and then bass and the 3rd string. But this time the 3rd string is fretted with our E major chord, right? So your E major chord, as you've got it fretted here, is kind of the reference point for everything. We're going to decorate it. We're going to move around a little bit, but right there, we got a really cool sound happening just playing with the notes that are on the fretboard with our E major chord. We start to introduce a little bit of melody here with the 2nd measure. Instead of pinching with the open and doing a hammer on, we're going to put the little finger down on the C sharp. So that's the 2nd fret, 2nd string, and we're going to pinch. And it's a pinch because we're already doing this alternating bass thing, right? So we know that we're going to play the 6th string on beat 1. But here we play that 2nd fret, 2nd string for a full beat, then bass line, and then on the and of 2, open 1st string, and then bass, bass. So when we put these two measures together, you can hear the melody forming. You really start to get that rolling feel when you play this at a faster tempo. So it starts to sound like this. See what I mean about the first couple measures really taking us through the meat of the arrangement. We just played a full 8 bars there, and we're getting ready to change chords to an A7, but we covered a lot of ground and really didn't move around that much right here with our E chord held down. All we did from the first phrase is change the melody just a little bit. So the second time around, the melody changes to this. So instead of going to that first string E for the ending, we went to the B. It's a cool way to just kind of move the melody through the arrangement. Then we repeated with the E on top. And to build some tension as we're approaching the chord change, I moved up from the C sharp to the D, giving this an E7 sound. Really cool thing to do. And another cool reason that we did that is we're actually about to change chords to an A7. So we have this half step drop from the D back to the C sharp, but this time under an A7. Now, something else that's happening here, aside from the speed, as we change the melody that's on top of our alternating bass line, is at times I push through and you can hear the third string on beats 2 and 4 along with the fourth string. So that's played with the thumb. I'm just pushing through and playing those 2 strings together. It sounds really cool. It's a great way to keep the rhythm going a little bit. You hear? You can do it every single time if you like, or just hit it occasionally when it feels right. As we move on with the next section, we're changing chords to A. We're going to choose a cool A7 voicing that allows us to reach all of the melody notes that we need right here next to the chord shape. Let me play through this slowly, and you can see how I'm just holding down these 2 fingers as kind of my home base and working everything around that. And we are going to bring on the alternating bass line here, but this time we change it from 6/4, 6/4 to 5/4, 5/4. Here's the part over A7. See how I held the A7 shape with my middle finger and my ring finger the entire time. Middle finger's on the E note, 4th string, 2nd fret, and the ring finger is at the C sharp, 2nd fret, 2nd string. And then if I strum across all that, I got a nice A7. And kind of like we did with our E chord, we're just going to embellish the notes of the chord and move the melody around that chord. So we stepped into the A7 very much the same way we did over E, by pinching with the minor third of the chord and hammering into the major third. For E, that's the G to G sharp. But here, that's the C to C sharp from A, or A7. So we're doing that and moving through a slightly different melody on top. Doing this cool pull off from the F sharp, 1st string, 2nd fret, up to the G, giving us a real nice voicing of A7. Getting that G in there, especially up top, really lets you know that you've got some A7 going on. And again, build some tension as you head back to the chord change, where we go back to E and play some parts we've already done before. Right? Before heading into the turnaround, you can play your favorite country blues style turnaround here. And then pick out with a couple of measures over E. That turnaround is something that I'm going to be covering in the extended cut lesson for BGI members. If you want to check that out, we get deep into that. It's one of my favorite country blues, Etta Baker style moves. Remember, you can pick up the tab and find other helpful materials by becoming a MyBGI member. And if you'd like to play pieces like this, but maybe it's out of reach, then join MyBGI and hop on the fingerstyle roadmap. It's a proven plan that will take you from struggling with acoustic blues to playing along with tunes just like this and even beyond. So become a member at the link in the description, and I'll see you inside MyBGI. Until then, practice smart and play on.